श्रीचेष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मायं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासाहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते भक्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे। Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danva Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined the group and are about to join. Prabhuji, thank you for availing yourself and giving your precious time. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 2, Chapter 7, and today the text is text 3 and 4 if we can do, otherwise just text 3. We didn't have a class today, so we are running behind one text, but we'll try to catch up. So, would you like me to read the text, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
Narayanam namaskrityam naram chevam narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayate nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhakti jayati naishtiki. Namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 3. Chadne ka kardama grihadvija devahutam stribhi saman navabhir atma gatip swam matre. Ucheyatmata samalal guna sanga paripankam asmin vidukya kapilashya gatim prapade. Jagne took birth. Cha also. Kardama, the Prajapati named Kardama. Rahe in the house of. Vija, O Brahman. Devahutaya in the womb of Devahuti. Shribhi by women. Samam accompanied by. Navabhi by 9. Atma Gatim spiritual realization. Matre onto his own mother. Che uttered. Yaya by which. Atma Samalan covering of the spirit's soul. Kunasanga associated with the modes of nature. Pankam mud. Asmin this very life. Viduvata being washed off. Kapilasya of Lord Kapila. Gatim liberation. Kapede achieved. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Prabhuji, would you like me to read the translation and then hand over to you, or how do you want me to do
I'll
it?
read.
Okay,
I'll
I
read.
hand over to you. Hare Krishna.
Continuing with the translation, along with the 9 women, sisters, the Lord then appeared as the Kapila incarnation, being the son of the Prajapati Brahmin Kardama and his wife Devahuti. He spoke to his mother about self-realization, by which in that very lifetime she became fully cleansed of the mud of the material modes, and thereby achieved liberation, the path of Kapila. Purport. The instructions of Lord Kapila to his mother Devahuti are fully described in the 3rd canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapters 25 to 32, and anyone who follows the instructions can achieve the same liberation obtained by Devahuti. The Lord spoke the Bhagavad Gita, and thereby Arjuna achieved self-realization. And even today, anyone who follows the path of Arjuna can also attain the same benefit as Sri Arjuna. The scriptures are meant for this purpose. Foolish, unintelligent persons make their own interpretations by imagination, thus mislead their followers, causing them to remain in the dungeon of material existence. However, simply by following the instructions imparted by Lord Krishna or Lord Kapila, one can obtain the highest benefit, even today. So we're continuing our study of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, which is entitled Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. In today's text, or this text, is 3. So one thing that we can take note of is how self-realization or liberation is achieved. It is not by some kind of magical waving of a wand or some kind of what they call shaktipat, where the spiritual teacher touches your forehead and there's some kind of electromagnetic transmission or something. But here, self-realization or liberation is attained by following the instructions. And Srila Prabhupada points out here that anyone who follows the instructions can achieve the same liberation. It's open to everyone. There is no, it is a very, I don't want to say mechanical, um, but it requires effort on our part, just as when we have some disease and the doctor gives us instructions what to do. We can say so many nice things about the doctor. And we can ask the doctor to please bless me. Please bless me. I can make advancement. Please bless me. I'll become cured. That's nice. But if we don't follow the instructions of the doctor, we won't be cured. We actually have to do it. So Srila Prabhupada writes, however, simply by following the instructions imparted by Lord Krishna or Lord Kapila, one can obtain the highest benefit even today. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions about that? Of
Yes,
course, there
Prabhuji,
is
Hare
some magic.
Krishna.
What's that? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even if the doctor shows you the mercy and says, okay, I won't charge you, but you still have to go through the process of eating the medicine the way he said, before food or after food, or with tea or no,
Yeah,
with fats or whatever. So he can give you everything. He can even give you money to eat, to buy the medicines, but you have to do the process. You have to go through the
yeah,
process. So thank you. Thank you for giving us that analogy.
yeah, that's true. On the other hand, there is mercy, there is magic. It is said in the Nectar devotion, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that if we please the spiritual master and Krishna by our attitude, our enthusiasm to serve, our love, then it is completely possible for Krishna to make it easier to help us to follow the instructions. That's true. So it is, again, what we were talking about last week and other meetings, the question about whether it's by grace or it's by work that one uh, attains salvation. It's a combination of both, but mostly work. We have to do things. So we'll continue. The word Atmagatim is significant in the sense of perfect knowledge of the Supreme. One should not be satisfied simply by knowing the qualitative equality of the Lord and the living being. One should know the Lord as much as can be known by our limited knowledge. It is impossible for the Lord to be known perfectly as he is, even by such liberated persons as Shiva or Brahma, so what to speak of other demigods or men in this world. Still, by following the principles of the great devotees and the instructions available in the scriptures, one can know to a considerable extent the features of the Lord. His Lordship Kapila, the incarnation of the Lord, instructed his mother fully about the personal form of the Lord and was able to achieve a place in the Vaikuntha Loka where Lord Kapila predominates. Every incarnation of the Lord has his own abode in the spiritual sky. Therefore, Lord Kapila also has his separate Vaikuntha planet. The spiritual sky is not void. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and in each of them, the Lord predominates by one of his innumerable expansions. And the pure devotees who are there also live in the same style as the Lord and his eternal associates. So that's very exciting information, I think, isn't it? Uh, so there's 4 or 5 of us here. So everyone can say that if they had the money and the time, where would they like to go visit on this planet and spend a week or two? Everyone say where you would like to go if you could. Maybe you don't want to go anywhere, but if you could, if you had the money, where would you go?
Dennis Prabhu, where would you like to go if you had the money? If you had all the money
And the time, yeah.
and the time. I would like to go to Yatra again. I would like to go to Vrindavan. Dennis Prabhu, where would you like to go?
It's a very interesting question. I've never thought of that such a question. Well,
There may not be a place, but
Would you like to go to America, Australia, Europe, or Mombasa?
oh, imagine, no, not
Recheck.
really.
okay. Someone else? Anyone have, if they could, where they might want to go?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I would like to go to Vrindavan.
To where?
Vrindavan.
Vrindavan. Yeah, Vrindavan.
Vrindavan. And why? Have you
So
ever
be-
been there?
Yes, I've been there once, and
Oh.
I just feel, I think it makes you feel so much closer to Krishna. You feel his mercy a lot more, and you associate with his devotees who want to be there, who have the love for him.
That's nice. Who else?
Prashanatma Prabhu, are you able to tell us where you would like to go? I know you're not feeling very well, but hopefully you're feeling better today. If you had the money, health, and the time, where would you like to go?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranams. Please accept my
Pranam.
humble obeisances. Maybe I will say just the whole of India, just to see all
All
the
of India?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Any particular areas? What two areas?
Mayapur and Vrindavan also.
Have you been to Mayapur?
No, none of this, none. I've not been to India.
So how do you know it exists?
Uh,
How do you know it exists?
I know people who have gone there,
Oh,
at
okay.
least. But
They could be lying, but probably not. Why would they lie? Someone else, especially if it's a number of people, right? I'd like to
Urmila,
visit South India. I would like to visit South India, see the big South Indian temples. I'd like to go to Hardwar and see the mountains and the Ganga there. Anyone else? No, I
Urmila
haven't been
Mataji.
there before. I've never been there before.
Okay.
Maybe I'm in illusion, but I don't think so. A lot of people talk about it, and I can see pictures, photos. Anyone else?
Urmila Mataji, would you like to tell us where you would like to go? If you had the health and the money and the time.
My phone is. I would like to go to Raj, Mayapur, even to our manor here, all the temples.
Very nice. So there's so many places that we can go, and we have heard about them, and we have an interest. So many places just on this planet, and there are other planets, of course. Um, so here we're hearing about the spiritual sky, that where there are innumerable, almost unlimited spiritual planets that are eternal, where Krishna, Lord Vishnu, is there, and the devotees, according to where they want to be, are there. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and in each of them the Lord predominates by one of his innumerable expansions. And the pure devotees who live there, and the pure devotees who are there also live in the same style as the Lord and his eternal associates. That sounds really great to me. If we think about any wealthy person on this planet and the way they are able to live, sometimes I have seen videos of uh, the houses, the mansions where wealthy people live, billionaires, and the kinds of things that they do and the clothes that they wear. It's like another planet compared to the usual things that we see. It's just a different atmosphere. Uh, so comfortable and opulent. If you look, there are videos of castles in Europe and other places of the world. Fantastic decorations and furniture and carpets and just it's like another planet. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the uh, Bhagavad Gita in the 15th chapter, that verse, Natad Vashayate Suryo na Shanko na Pavaka Yad Gatva Navartante Tadam Paramamama, where Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or the moon or by electricity, and one who never goes there never comes back. No suffering of any kind, if we can even begin to imagine it, and so much love and peace. So Srila Prabhupada writes there that one should be captivated hearing that information, that we should want to go there, just like we would want to go anywhere else, because of hearing about it. On this planet, there are many beautiful places that one could visit, different islands and beaches and mountains and farmland and such places. when people do, they go to visit and spend time. We can even think, I don't know about London because there's usually so much city lights and things, but if you go out in the country, I'm sure there in Kenya, you can see amazing sunrises and sunsets, and the sky is just so beautiful with the different orange and pink colors and yellow and the sun like that. So the spiritual world is the most amazing, beautiful, comfortable place we can imagine. And Srila Prabhupada, as I said, that we should want to go there. And Lord Krishna wants us there. He does not want us to suffer unnecessarily. He does not want us to live in a diminished, reduced, uh, difficult situation uh, necessarily. Um, but uh, we have to want to change our situation. Just like here, if we don't have any particular desire to go anywhere, we won't, will we? And if we want to move, we want to go somewhere, we want to go to the EU or the UK, or we want to move some other part of Africa or go to America. That's the beginning of going, isn't it? Because now, and then we begin to think, well, how can I do it? And we make plans and we start working towards it, and hopefully we arrive. So it begins by our desire. So how precious, how fortunate we are to have the association of our ISKCON founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, who translated all of these scriptures into English, and then they were translated into other languages. Of course, some of us may already speak Hindi. I doubt if many of us speak Sanskrit. But he, Srila Prabhupada, translated all of these. And if it were not for that, we wouldn't have them. We would not be able to hear today about the spiritual sky and spiritual planets, and Lord Kapila and Lord Chaitanya, in this way, as we are. And by his association, or by his, and his association means opening the door to having the association of the spiritual knowledge of the scriptures, because ultimately all of this knowledge is given by Krishna. Parichanaya sadhanam vinashya chaduskutam dharma samstarpanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. Lord Krishna says, I incarnate again and again to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreants, to reestablish religious principles. Krishna makes effort to help us, to take us back home, to destroy our suffering. Of course, the saying is, right, that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. And that is the situation that we can, isn't it? We can give someone who's smoking, we can advise them, don't do that. Don't you see people dying of cancer? Don't stop. And they don't, or they can't. Whatever it is that they're doing, we have free will. And we have our free choice. And some of us are habituated to negative thinking patterns, which is even more difficult. Sometimes we have self-destructive kind of thinking patterns that are hard to break, even if we want to break them. And that requires mercy, as we will read further below. As Lord Krishna says, when the Lord descends personally or by his personal plenary expansions, such incarnations are called Amsa, Kala, Guna, Yuga, and Manvantara. And when the Lord's associates descend by the order of the Lord, such incarnations are called Shaktivesh. But in all cases, the incarnations are supported by the invulnerable statements of the authorized scriptures and not by any imagination of some self-interested propagandist. Such incarnations of the Lord in any of the above categories always declare the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be the ultimate truth. The impersonal conception of the Supreme Truth is just a process of negation of the form of the Lord from the mundane conception. The living entities, by their very constitution, are spiritually as good as the Lord, and the only difference between them is the Lord is always supreme and pure, without contamination by the modes of material nature, whereas the living entities are apt to be contaminated by association with the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So how is that? How is that? Because it is said, asango yam purusha, that we, me, and you, and all of us, we are asanga. We are separate from this material body. And we are eternally pure. The soul never becomes changed. So how is it that we, as the pure soul, what does this mean then that we become contaminated? Because we in one sense, we never become contaminated. So what is that? What have we heard about that? How is it that we, the soul, become contaminated by the modes of material nature? What do you think?
Is it desires, Prabhuji?
Desires?
Mhm.
What desires?
Well, the desires we want in life, out of greed and materialistic items, and not following any sort of spiritual way of life or having the knowledge, those sort of
Yeah.
things.
So that keeps our connection to the contamination. And why are we even connected at all? How is it that we become, to begin with, contaminated?
We wanted to enjoy and lord over everything. So therefore, Krishna sent us here, and material world is the only place where we could probably enjoy and lord over things.
But isn't it our nature to enjoy and be happy because we're a part of Krishna? What's wrong
Yes,
with wanting to enjoy?
yeah, because our nature, we will get enjoyment only when we serve Krishna. So
So
it is important.
didn't want to serve Krishna.
That's right. We wanted it all to ourselves.
I see. As if there was no Krishna.
As if there was no Krishna.
Anyone else? Any other thoughts? Why are we stuck to this contamination? Yeah, that pretty much covers it there. That's true. Icha dvesha samutena dvandva mohena bharata. That because of our itcha, desire, and dvesha, resentment, that I don't want to serve in heaven, I want to suffer in hell. And it's not that Krishna punished us. It's not that we did some bad thing and then our Father is punishing us. No, it's not like that. It's not described like that. What is it described as? Krishna sending us. If it's not that he's punishing us, then what does it mean he sent us?
He sent us to enjoy and say, okay, you wanted to enjoy without me, you go to the material world, and under the auspicious lookout of Maya and the three modes of material energy, you go and enjoy because you think
Yeah,
you want to.
regretfully satisfying our desire. All right, if you insist, then I will create this place where you can try. So it is with regret. It is not personal, being offended or some kind of revenge or something. No. All right, you go try and do that. You go to London and I'll pay the rent for 6 months and see what happens. But I really suggest you don't do that. But we have free will. What's he going to do? Tie us up, put us in the basement? That's not, it's just, sometimes we wish, or why doesn't God just force us? But suppose you kidnap your son or daughter from some place and bring them back to home. Is that going to work if they don't want to be there?
They will never forgive
It
you.
won't work. Even though it may be the best thing from one point of view, we just have this damn free will, and we can't get away from it. And we have to settle our minds that I have free will. Somehow I let myself steal from the bank, and now I'm in jail. And it's not the police or the government's fault. It's not my parents' fault. It's my fault. So someone may say, but this desire is just so crazy desire. I couldn't get rid of it. I couldn't stop. But you could call the police. You could say, I'm going to rob a bank. Come and get me. Or you could call some mental hospital, or you could do something. You didn't have to. Ultimately, it was a choice. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be violent to this person or do this thing. So we have free will. So contamination, so this modes of material nature, that sounds a very fancy kind of philosophy, uh, modes of material nature. But what does that practically mean in our everyday life? Uh, so we are the spirit soul, asangoyam purusha, uh, mamai vamsho, jiva loka, jiva bhuta sanatana, aham brahmasmi. We are spirit. I am spirit, you're spirit. We are separate from this body, we're separate from the mind, but somehow we're stuck to this body. We're stuck to the gross body, we're stuck to the subtle body, the mind with all the emotions and feelings. So the modes of nature, you might say specifically means that we're contaminated by this gross body and the subtle body. So then this contamination by the material modes can be washed off completely by knowledge, renunciation, and devotion. The first thing is to understand that I'm not these feelings. I'm not these thoughts. I'm not these desires. I'm aware of them. I'm conscious of them. But actually, me, according to the scriptures, the great saints, I am separate. I am the tiny spark of consciousness. My mind is lazy. My mind is tired. My mind wants to eat. My body has physical desires, but not me. I'm conscious of it, but it's not me. So knowledge to begin with, and renunciation, developing an attitude of, because the thing is we can't do two things at once. We can't, not very good, not very well. We can't be wanting to be the observer of our mind and our body, to be detached, and at the same time being too passionate to enjoy it. Trying to, I really want to be detached from these clothes, but then I really want to wear the clothes. It won't work. We have to have this spirit of renunciation, that I don't want to get more involved with this body and mind than I have to. And then we can watch it. We can observe it. We can have more of that neutrality. So then how can we get that desire to not be too involved with this mind and body. What do you think? Where can that come from? That I don't want to be too much involved. Where do we get that feeling?
Is it with
What do you
the
think?
is it with the knowledge we gain from reading the Bhagavatam, listening to these sanghas, association, reading the Gita, which
Yeah.
teaches us?
Very good. That's exactly what this purport is speaking about. Anything else? Any other thoughts? Why don't we want to touch fire? Why
Because
don't
we
we
know,
want to touch? Maybe someone does, but I don't.
because we know we'll get burned. So we've heard
Indeed,
from Guru.
it'll hurt. So the
We
school
have
of hard knocks, yes, we suffer. And we come to a conclusion, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that. I'm not eating 3 pieces of cake at midnight. It's just murder in the morning, or whatever it may be. But then we have, as Mataji said, the greed and the desire. Sometimes even we know better. The mind is demanding, do this, do it now. And we're thinking, no, the last time it was just misery. And it could be anything, anything, any activity of this material world. You know, if I could just have the the right relationship, if I can just eat the right food, if I can just live in the right place. And so we learn there is no right place, and doing something too much will bring suffering. And in general, this material body is the whole thing is a cause of suffering. So this is required for advanced Krishna consciousness. This attitude of not wanting to be so involved any more than I have to. So so this contamination is washed out completely by knowledge, renunciation, and devotional service. Devotional service to the Lord is the ultimate issue, and therefore those who are directly engaged in the devotional service of the Lord not only acquire the necessary knowledge and spiritual science, but also attain detachment and are thus promoted to the kingdom of God. So so by devotional service, so what is that? What are the main practices of devotional service? If someone says, well, how do you do devotional service? What are the main methods? What would you say? Anyone? Devotional service. Well, what is it? And what is the essence of devotional service?
Dennis
Is it
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Yes, I would think the really essence of devotional service would be to engage your senses in Krishna. Anything that will help a living entity, an individual, to think of Krishna most of the time. So I would think of chanting frequently, doing japa meditation, doing kirtan. That will engage the mind in thinking about Krishna to almost 24 hours.
So thinking of
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, it sounds as if you're saying that that is the very essence of devotional service. Is that right? Is that how you understand?
Yes, yes, a method to remind
Mhm.
someone of Krishna.
Does anyone remember any verses from Bhagavad Gita that support that idea? that thinking of Krishna, meditating on Krishna, is the very core of devotional service?
Yes, Prabhuji, I think it might be chapter 9, where 8 or 9, where Lord Krishna says, "My devotee who surrenders to me never perishes. I personally come and look after their needs." I mean, naturally, he wouldn't come in the form of Krishna. But the way I understand that is he will send somebody to look after you. You are his devotee. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Okay. That adds to the answer. Anyone else? Any other verses from Bhagavad Gita or anywhere else that supports this meditating on Krishna?
10:10, Prabhuji. Tesham satata yuktaya bhajatam priti purvaka
That
tadami.
and what does that mean?
Yeah, it means that whoever thinks of me lovingly, worships me in devotional service, worships me lovingly, I will give them the knowledge of how to come to me.
So supports how important meditation on Krishna is. Anyone else? Any other thoughts?
Also, Prabhuji, about the food we eat. And he says, when we offer that food to him with love, he will partake of that. And that, if you eat without offering the food, you're eating sin. That sort of verse really stuck with me, you know. So,
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes I forget to offer things, but um, most of the times I think to myself, no, you don't want to be eating sin.
very good. So this is all good. So I think that's a good point. I believe, as far as I understand, that is uh, the very core principle of devotional service, as Dennis brought up, meditation on Krishna. I mean, after all, what does the word yoga mean? To link with Krishna, to link our mind with Krishna, isn't it? Just like in the 6th chapter, which is about Jnana Yoga, one should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare at the tip of the nose. With an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex desire, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, whose mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God. So, one should meditate upon me. And there are a number of places in Bhagavad Gita where Lord Krishna speaks about how, in the 5th chapter, that one whose mind is absorbed in me attains peace, attains qualitative equality with Brahman. And in the 18th chapter, again, Lord Krishna says that one who is self-realized, who is always meditating upon me, becomes liberated. So this liberation and freedom from contamination, it is directly connected to how much we are truly uh, meditating on Krishna, absorbed in thinking of Krishna, just like uh, the idea that when we take a piece of metal or wood and we put it in the fire, it becomes like fire, doesn't it? Mam talyo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samatita tam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So that verse in the 18th chapter, the one who engages in full devotional service without falling down at once attains to the level of Brahman. So I'm just thinking about how this devotional service, in other words, not just that our body and hands and legs are busy doing something. I'm doing a lot of service. I'm cooking for Krishna. I'm making money for Krishna. I'm managing for Krishna, which is all good. It's certainly part of devotion, without a doubt. But in order to uh, experience and attain the full benefits and results of yoga, we actually have to be thinking of Krishna. As Lord Krishna says in the 6th chapter, that in the beginning, work is the means. For the neophyte, we must especially work for Krishna. And that's wonderful. It's needed, it's necessary, and we must do it because we have so much that we can offer to Krishna, and we have desires, and we have energy, and we need to be busy doing something. Uh, so karma yoga. So we engage in activity. And as much as possible, we want to move forward into deeper meditation on Krishna. Uh, because even if, suppose you're at home or at the temple and you're cooking for Krishna, and your hands are busy and your legs, you're moving around the kitchen and you're so many busy things. But what are you thinking about? You know, someone could be doing that and thinking of who knows. They won't. So then they may say, well, I'm doing devotional service. Why is my mind so lusty and greedy? Well, you're not meditating on Krishna. In fact, that's why. But it's hard because my mind is so passionate. Well, that's the medicine. If we have to take the medicine and then we get over the hump and our mind will become purified so that it's easier. You know, it's just like when you have a very dirty rug in the house or blanket and it's very dirty. Somehow it's been in a dirty place and you may have to wash it twice, thrice, but then it gets clean, doesn't it? It will get clean. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Baba Mahanta Bhakti Nivarpanam. I remember, I'm not that I'm always meditating on Krishna myself, but um, still we can encourage each other, you know, isn't this the path? Shouldn't we be doing this thing? You know, so I was saying that, you know, while eating, should we not be thinking of Krishna? Sometimes people watch television or they listen to the radio or they're talking. So, well, it's just, you know, it's boring to think of Krishna. And it does seem a little boring sometimes, not just to think about Krishna. But if we do that, then Mamchayogya Vicharina will attain this level of Brahman and experience joy from within and peace within, and be more pleasurable to think of Krishna than do these other things. But unless we push ourselves to experience uh, and encourage others that just try this for a week, just stop watching the telly and just think of Krishna. Just think about your food and where it comes from and how Krishna is connected and uh, just meditate. See how it is. See how you feel like this. Krishna promises that if you meditate upon me, you become very happy. Tapo divyam puchkadena sattvam. Tapo divyam puchkadena sattvam. Brahma sokyam tvanantam. The human life is meant for practicing some austerity to pull our senses back from out there and actually put our mind into, and there's so much, like Dennis Prabhu was saying, we have japa, we have bhajan, we have kirtans, we have books, we have the deities. We can talk about Krishna. We can talk about the service we're doing for Krishna. Uh, so many different varieties of ways and things that there's so many things about Krishna to think. Actually, so many incarnations and pastimes and thousands of holy names. If we want to, we can find a way to really, like a sponge. But then someone may say, yes, fine, but you know, I'm busy. I'm working. and my kids, and I have to do this and think about this. I have bills to pay, and I have my job to do. And where is thinking of Krishna? And it's true. And we may not be able to. We may have to settle with that. Just sometimes people say, "But I'm at school. I can't." Well, maybe you won't, but at least we do the best we can. And whenever we get an opportunity to fully, and we should, and so that's sadhana, that hopefully we can have a half hour or an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is, something every day to just like a sponge, just turn off, tune out, and tune in to Krishna Katha and just bury our mind in Krishna and arrange our life as best as we can so we can do it more. That is part of our minimized sinful reaction. That because of our past activities, we may be in a situation which is not completely favorable. So we have to be tolerant, isn't it? What else can we do? We just do the best we can. And eventually we will have lots of time. Hopefully sooner than later. So this is the process to engage in full devotional service, which really, truly means absorption in Krishna. Now, I'm reminded how I think it's the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, or Canto 1, second chapter, I think so. It says that there's a verse that says that by rendering service to the great devotees, one attains a taste for hearing about Krishna. So there is a secret, like we spoke about earlier, the magic, that by our attitude of enthusiasm to offer some service to our spiritual master and to advance devotees, that let me do something. I want to do something, whatever it is. Let me work, make some money, let me give some time, whatever. And then Krishna will reciprocate by granting us a taste uh, uh, and enjoyment, our spiritual enjoyment. He'll allow us to become more attracted to him, attracted to japa, attracted to bhajan, attracted to see the deities, attracted to reading, attracted to hearing. He will give us mercy by our service attitude. So we can all do something, some kind of service every day, and Krishna will reciprocate. So Srila Prabhupada writes here, devotional service is the ultimate issue, and therefore those who are directly engaged not only acquire necessary knowledge and detachment, but they're promoted to the kingdom of God by complete liberation, as stated in Bhagavad Gita. In that verse that I quoted, I didn't even know that was there, but just say, Mam chayo vyabhicharina bhakti yogena sevate. Even in the non-liberated state, a living entity can be directly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the personality of Godhead Lord Krishna or his plenary expansions like Rama and Nrsimha. Thus, in proportion to the improvement of such transcendental devotion, that means, what does that mean? The improvement of what? According to what we've been talking about. What is our improvement in devotional service?
To serve the devotees or spiritual master so that we can get mercy. So we have to improve our activities and make ourselves Krishna conscious, thinking of him all the time.
Improve our meditation on Krishna and our attitude, our bhakti. As someone mentioned, bhakti, our attitude. So the antiseptic potency of so this is what I do. The antiseptic potency of always deeply meditating on Krishna is so great that it can neutralize the material infection. It is this meditation on Krishna. A devotee does not need to wait for his next birth for complete liberation. So we can experience that, this detachment from what's going on by our attachment, the attachment of our mind and intelligence, meditating on Krishna. And so then, what helps us? What is the what do we do that mainly helps us to think of Krishna? Isn't that called sadhana? That is our sadhana, isn't it? So the whole thing is like a complete package that by having the best lifestyle and hearing about Krishna as much as possible and our chanting our japa with attention, then the whole package brings about more thinking of Krishna all day, especially if we're busy. We really need to do the best we can to have a good sadhana. And nowadays with the phones, you can download so many things, lectures and bhajans and so many things. Um, and so there's so many opportunity that it's up to us. See, that's the thing. What are we doing with our spare? Even we have 10 minutes, we have half hour on the tube. We're cooking, we're cleaning, whatever it is. That's up to us uh, to practice hearing about Krishna and speaking about him. When we meet with some, take the opportunity because that what it cements it. Oh, I heard we can talk about other things, but we should also mention, oh, I heard this thing. There's 3, 4, 5 sentences. The other person will be reminded. Krishna will be very happy. As Kirtika was saying, Machita Makata Prana Bodhiantas Parasparam. Krishna becomes very happy when he sees devotees talking about him. Such an easy way to please Krishna. Find a way. Sometimes it's up to us to be a little bold and to understand the value and do this. That in conversation, somehow we don't have to make it so that we're some fanatic just talking about Krishna, or maybe so, but somehow, you know, talk something about Krishna, you know. Hello, how are you? How are things going? Ba, 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 ba. Oh, you know what? I heard Srila Prabhupada say, Krishna be so happy. Isn't it? In the 18th chapter, Lord Krishna says that one who preaches the science of bhakti to my devotees, he doesn't say non-devotees, does he? No. That 18th chapter says one who teaches the science of bhakti to because he wants his devotees protected. He wants his devotees to be successful. And so if we help each other, how happy is Krishna? So we have to have love for each other, and love for ourselves, and help each other in this way, I think. Yeah, so any questions or discussion? Such a wonderful opportunity, and we will go back home, back to God eventually. Thank God. Such a crazy, difficult place it can be here, so many issues, no issues in the spiritual world. And uh, well, what about my family members? Isn't it selfish just to think about myself? No, no, because as we become more dear to Krishna, then he will even more fulfill our desires. Oh, I wish my whole family could go back to Kailash. No problem. I'll take care of it. You're my pure devotee. So sometimes the best thing that we can do for friends and neighbors and relatives, family members, just be to just try and love Krishna. He's in charge anyway. We can't, um, unfortunately, we can't fix everything. Uh, but if we can have a little pull on Krishna because of our devotion, and magical things, there's so many narratives. There are so many stories of parents of devotees who just miraculously just think of Krishna at the time of leaving this world. There are many like that. Just how did that happen? And even devotees who have fallen away. Miraculous. That there was one sannyasi who had fallen away. And at the time of his leaving, he had just become involved in uh, non-devotional activity. But he said, "Oh, Srila Prabhupada, you're here." So happy. So that is because of our bhakti. Any discussion or comments?
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for this session. I know we've exhausted our time, but I'd like to, I don't know whether I've said this before, but I'd like to give an example on the same. So my mother-in-law, who passed on Diwali Day last year on 12th of November, she was a Pushti Margi, where she was a devotee of Krishna, but Krishna in the form of a small baby. And she would do everything for Krishna. The best of the fruits came in the house only for Krishna. She would throw a fit if somebody touched Krishna's milk. And we would say, but it's milk. I mean, why can't we drink from that bottle that you have reserved for her? But her nishta, her love for Krishna was so much, and we criticized, and I criticized her, that you have such rules and regulations, and I don't think Krishna would want us to suffer because of your rules and regulations. And we always thought that she was very strict with us when it came to Krishna. So she spent all her life, I mean, even if she had to travel in the morning somewhere, she would get up at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock and finish bathing her Krishna and doing whatever she did. She never disclosed but she changed his clothes and everything. So it was her time with her Krishna. And then she had dementia since the last 10 years, and she didn't do anything for Krishna. She just left him. And I took up her service, and I asked her, don't you want to do anything for Krishna? I mean, look, here, this is your Krishna. Don't you want to make him wear the clothes or the jewelry or anything? And she would say, she would just do that. And I used to say, now, whole her life she has prayed and she has worshipped Krishna. Now look, Krishna has done this to her, taken her mind away, and she doesn't even want to even touch any of the paraphernalias. And she was on her deathbed, and my husband went to see her. We didn't know that that was her last moment, but my husband went and said, oh, today's Diwali, and Jai Shri Krishna to her. And she said, Jai Shri Krishna, and just passed on. I mean,
Just see.
this is a miracle of miracle, especially for me to witness that, to see that. And I used to say, oh, Krishna, look, is this how you pay your devotee? I mean, she has served you. She's fought with us. She's fought with the family just for you. And you have taken her mind away. And she can't do any of your service. But Krishna came. Krishna came at the last moment, and she said those words.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you.
But can I add there, Mataji? He says even if his devotee is unconscious or whatever, he will come at that final moment and remind you of him. So he sent your husband to say Jai Sri Krishna to her, and she would have gone straight back to the spiritual world.
Yeah, but I didn't trust that. I mean, I've read the Bhagavad Gita before she passed on, because she just passed on 4-5 months ago. And so I had finished the Bhagavad Gita, but I didn't trust Krishna's words that I will come. But here he's showing me, yes, look, I came. You were the one who never trusted me. So, yeah, thank you, Mataji, for that addition. Yes.
And it also shows us how we are different than the machine of the mind and the brain, doesn't it? Because physically, mechanically, her brain was not working, but she was there, you see? So, and there are many instances in the material narratives, people under anesthesia or temporary death, they're conscious. The brain is flat, what do they call it? A flatline electromagnetic brain. But they're still able to say, oh, the doctor was wearing this, the nurse said this. Yes.
And also today's Mataji's comment that I offer whatever we have prepared to the Lord because I don't want to incur sin. I don't want to eat sin. And I was thinking about it, whether I do it out of love or if I do it out of fear. I do it out of fear because I don't want to incur sin. But it's not, I want to feed my Krishna what I've made. It's not out of love. So, I mean, there are lots of things still needs to be improved on.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
All of us,
Yeah.
we are on the path of improvement. It's good that we know. That's good. Good to be aware. Oh, now I know I'll focus on this.
Okay, we've exhausted our time, but I think there's a last paragraph left. Prabhuji, can we just finish reading that so that tomorrow we can start a new text?
Well, I read the whole purport. No,
Okay.
bound to a devotee does not need to wait for his next birth for complete liberation.
Yeah. Yes, we did. Okay. I just didn't mark it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for today's session. We really enjoyed it, and this is what we like on a Sunday evening. These discussions really help us, it's not the quantity of the devotees, it's the quality. So I thank you, Prabhuji, for always coming on time on this Sunday evening. I know you could have done so many other things, but we really, really appreciate it. And I speak for all the devotees who are present. We really relish the nectar you give us and the understanding.
Well, I don't want to offend the devotees. See, I'm doing it out of fear too. Not entirely.
You're just being humble here and trying to lower yourself to our level. Yeah.
I wish. So thank you so much for having me present. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So let us chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra once just to glorify Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
His Great
All glories to Shri
Srila
Guru and
Prabhupada
Shri Gauranga.
Jai. All glories to Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Everyone be well. Haribol.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, and all Mataji and everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir.
Hare